Hey, Her Nation. Welcome to another podcast episode of Carla's channel, Heart to Heart Inspiration. I am your host, Carla J, the Queen of Inspiration. And today I have two amazing guests. You will not be disappointed. First of all, we're going to talk about some very serious things today, okay? But we all know that there are some mental health things going on in the world. Sometimes we say there's a mental health pandemic. You know, there are a lot of mass shootings, there's a lot of rage, there's just a lot of weird things going on. And we want you all to know that there is hope, there is help. And this organization that we're getting ready to talk about, they are helping some of our people that are on the front lines. That is our veterans, our first responders, and guess who else? Their families. Why? Because when you are a family member of someone on the front lines, they can also be impacted by some of the PTSD that family member may be going through. So we want to make sure that there is an outlet for the family members as well. So let's get into it. I'm going to introduce our guests. First of all, we have Whitney, and she is our suicide prevention trainer. Hey, Whitney.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Yes. And then we have the founder and president of this organization. It is called Quick Reaction Force, and his name is Mr. Ram Yebra. Yay. So let me do their proper introduction, y'all, because y'all know how we do on Heart to Heart. Let us welcome them to the stage. Give it up for Ram Yebra and Whitney. Yay! Welcome to the show.
There is another person here. This is George. I don't know if you can see him. He is my emotional support dog. So he just woke up from his nap. Have to mention him.
Oh, that's right. You cannot leave him out. That is right.
Man.
I'm loving it. So in our chat today, we already got people chiming in saying hello, Heart Nation from Chicago South Side. We also have another guest, Inspiration Nation, saying her husband is a disabled veteran. And she says, hey, Georgie. So we are off to a great start. So if you're following us on Instagram, YouTube, or Facebook, please go ahead and subscribe and follow so that you can get all of the replays and all of the upcoming shows. So without further ado, we're just going to dive right into it. So Ram, tell us, how do you save lives?
In a multitude of ways.
Question.
It's yeah. So initially we help people with our application. It's a literal red button that a veteran, family member, or first responder will activate by touching the screen, sending out an SOS that goes out in a 100-mile radius to as many therapists that are licensed under that state that the SOS went out on. And when it's answered, the phone call, they will start talking to them, triaging them, trying to get to like the root of the issue that they're experiencing that day. If they, try to resolve it via the phone. If they can't, they will activate a quick reactionary force comprised of peer-to-peer support specialists, and they will come in physically to help you.
Wow. You said it will go out to, if they hit that. So first of all, they have to get the mobile app. That's correct.
So it's on Android and on Apple, Android and Apple. And it's a literal, just a red button. Once you push it will activate an SOS that will literally go out in a 100-mile radius to as many therapists that are in that state.
Wow. Now, that is just awesome. This is an app. So what is the name of the app that they should go to on their phone?
QRFup.
QRFup. Quick Reaction Force Up. Quick Reaction Force Up. Get that app now, guys. Go ahead and download it on your phone. And this is specifically for veterans, first responders, and their families. Can you break that down a little bit for us, you or Whitney? Who does this all include?
Whitney, if you want to go ahead and take this.
So
She'll have to rejoin. Go ahead, Rams.
Okay, so the way that we decide that is the nucleus of the family, right? Like the spouse, it could be the husband or the wife that is going through some sort of discomfort with the husband that's a responder or the wife that's a responder. We're trying to help the whole family because we know that as first responders, veterans, or even frontline workers, they go through a lot of vicarious trauma, just what they experience on a day-to-day basis. They encounter a lot of experiences that they don't ever get to really decompress from. So it's a lot of compounding trauma that keeps getting filled in, and eventually we get home. We get, we're home and something bothers us because we're overstimulated already. We've had a lot of stress at work. Your husband will say something and just snap at him, right? Or your wife will say something and you just be like, no, like that's not what I want. Or
So sorry, I just completely lost you guys. I want to apologize about that. Rand, did you answer that question, or do you want me to go ahead and expound?
Yeah, I'm finishing it if you want to. So I left off at to like how the program functions as a whole and how we're helping the whole family. So go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Well, so you had asked who all that includes, and so that would be, EMS, fire, police, anyone who runs towards the fire instead of away from the fire. That would be a first responder. And then any active duty or veteran military personnel and their family. I often say veteran adjacent individuals because it might not be your spouse, but it could be your fiance, your girlfriend, your best friend, something like that. If you are intermeshed with somebody who is a veteran who is experiencing a crisis, or is on their way to experiencing a crisis, or their lifestyle is causing you to have a mental health reaction, then you're the person that we can help. And we're not saying that everybody else is beyond help, but we're trying to provide our services to a certain segment that is often overlooked. And veterans and first responders are a very tricky group of people because we don't respond the same way that other people do. We don't ask for help the same way that other people do. We're the I got it, don't worry about it, I can do all 50 million things at the same time type people until we crash and burn, and then we take a nap and get up and do it again. So it's important for veterans to understand veterans and first responders and be able to speak that language, or at least understand that language.
I've heard that before, actually. But first, I just want to say hats off to you all for including not just have to be the spouse. It could be the girlfriend, fiance, it could be the child in that family nucleus. That is awesome. You hear a lot about domestic violence amongst families who may have a veteran or a first responder, police officer, firefighter, EMT, things like that. Speak a little bit about that. How has this, how this may help that situation?
Well, I mean, the great thing is, and I'm sorry, Ram, I didn't mean to cut you off. You can go right ahead. No, okay. And I'm thinking of one situation in particular. Of course, not using any names or any identifiers, but it was a police officer and his wife. And nobody would have known that there was any domestic violence issues happening at all. And I don't think that it was domestic violence. I think it was PTSD related reactions to things, not necessarily domestic violence that people think of the standard domestic type violence. And it would have been a huge help if she could have pressed a button and said, I need assistance. And the thing is that once you press that button, you're not getting 911. If you want 911, absolutely, we'll get them for you, not a problem. And then there's the main button, and then there's a little segment off to the side where you can immediately ask for, there you go, where you can immediately ask for 911, but you don't have to have 911 come and see you. If a person needs help de-escalating a situation, instead of having their husband carried off or their wife carried off in handcuffs, if that's what they want, then that's what we're going to give them.
Or especially in a situation on a gurney, or carried off on a gurney.
Yeah.
Either way, right?
Mhm.
And especially in the situation where you have police officers who are having mental health issues and they live in the community. Calling 911 not only jeopardizes their job and their reputation and their safety, it's a whole bunch of things that don't necessarily need to happen if we can just hit that SOS button. And if this spouse had been able to say, hey, um, help me with the situation. How do I talk to him about this thing? Or, you know,
Mhm.
we're having a crisis. He doesn't have a weapon, but I'm scared.
Okay.
Having an outlet for that would have been much better than going to his funeral that we ended up going to.
Mm.
That's not the outcome that we wanted. And if someone had been able to intervene without
Mhm.
putting his job at risk or his reputation as a police officer at risk, we would have had a different outcome, I think. Or potentially could have had a different outcome. There's no guarantee that everything's going to work out, but I would rather have a 10% chance that something's going to work out than a 0% chance.
Yeah, that's so important. Important. Ram, what did you want to add to that?
Well, I can tell you that, from experience, one of the things that we really try to strive is that we don't look at the person as somebody who's not capable of change or fixing those things that they're doing, right? A lot of the times we think about like domestic violence as something that's habitual or something that the user is doing to continue doing. When the reality of it is there's a lot of stress, there's financial stress, there's emotional stress, unresolved, child things, your inner child hasn't been healed, so many different things. And our approach to a lot of this is we are trying to really destigmatize reaching out for help, right? Even if you're in a situation where you feel unsafe, that button immediately sends out a GPS. So we know where you're at, right? We know where you're
Wow.
going to be. We know how to get a hold of you. We know how to take care of you. And like I said, our main purpose is a lot of people get compounded with these traumas, right? They go out and feel like they're saving people on a daily, but they can't
Mhm.
save their own family,
Mm.
right? And they
That's
just
deep.
they keep getting so more in the mud, and they just keep getting worse and deeper into it, where sometimes as veterans, first responders, we hold on to a lot of things because we don't want
Yeah.
to burden people, or we just have a lot of stories that we've had to do in our past, so we just pretend that that's not real anymore, that didn't
Mm.
happen. And it's just, it'll come out someday, it'll come out, it'll be there, and it'll ruin your whole life, right? And then they're going to feel like, well, I don't have anything to live for, what does that
Mm.
matter, I'm going to take my life. And that's not true.
Okay.
Anything can be fixed, right? We can break things, and we can fix them. We can glue them back together. We can do all sorts of stuff, and that's what we're really here to accomplish, is
Wow.
really showing people compassion in their hardest times, giving them that ability to understand that, like, we are here for you, judgment free. We've
Mhm.
all been through it. I can guarantee you, we've all experienced it, being abusers, or being abused, or being in legal troubles, no legal troubles, like whatever that may be. We've ourselves encountered that, so we speak from that experience of, we'll get you out of that dark area, because we
Mm.
can walk with it with you, right? We don't
And
judge you.
the
Things.
important thing is, and I've been at trainings where people have left the room because they've been something was triggering for them, so they left the room to take a moment. And the person who went out with them to help bring them back into the room or make sure that they were okay ended up trauma dumping on the person who left. It's not,
Mm.
we are not having competition. I do not want to sit there and say, I've been through everything that you've been through. I get it. Absolutely not. Talk to me. I understand your language. Talk to me. You don't have to, you don't have to civilianize it. You don't have to dumb it down. You don't have to make it PC. Um, there's no children's ears. We don't need earmuffs. Just tell me, and
Okay.
we'll just go from there. Because one of the most frustrating things is talking to someone and then getting that look like I have no idea what you're talking about,
Mm.
or like scaring them with the story that you're telling. And the
Okay.
fact that I have extremely dark humor, but there's people other than me have darker humor. And I'm just like, oof, okay, I'm gonna take a break from that little story, you know. But
Okay.
at least as a veteran, I can understand that this person isn't being cruel. They're not being insensitive. This is how they deal with it. And I mean, I grew up with cops and nurses in my family, and
Mhm.
so yeah, we
You've heard a
all
lot. You've heard a lot.
we
Cops and
we
nurses.
we've
Yeah.
heard a lot, and oh my gosh, the stories they tell and the way they tell it is just like, okay, visualize that entire thing. Thank you. I can even smell it. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
I really appreciate that. Being a nurse myself, it is some of the things that you encounter. I still have some
Mhm.
of those memories, still to this day. I've
Yeah.
been a nurse for over 30 years, and some of the things that I've seen, yes, I can still envision them. So I could imagine. And you're right. What we have to do, I remember working in a prison. I used to work in a prison, and there was an event that happened. I probably do suffer from PTSD from it. And when I called my supervisor to let her know what happened, she said, "Oh, you'll be okay. Just go ahead." I said, "I just need a moment. I need a break." "Oh, you'll be okay."
Hmm.
So I can imagine some of the other things that are way beyond what I saw, and having to see that on
Hmm.
a daily basis, or
Hmm.
just unimaginable things, how that could really affect you, and not feeling like no one is there to listen or really care,
Right.
and that service that you're providing is so crucial.
Right. And the way that a person responds, like the if I went to Joe Bob on the street corner with something that going on in my life, and their response was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened to you. That's terrible." As opposed to if I called up Bram and said, "Hey, I remember the story," and he's like, "Dude, that was rough." I mean, there's a different response, and if I got somebody who expressed horror at what I told them, I wouldn't tell them another thing.
Right.
Never again. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Because that is so true. Now,
Yeah.
both of you all have, because I've heard that from my military friends, I shall say, that there's nothing like having someone who can really talk the talk. So I'll start with you, Ram. Tell us your background of, are you a veteran, or tell the audience more about you?
Yeah. So I started out in the Marine Corps and then went over to the Army, got retired from the medically retired, and then ended up going to be a canine officer and then a firefighter. And then I became an SADV advocate for domestic violence and sexual assault. I learned a lot, but it also really harmed me in ways that I wasn't prepared for. Like I really wasn't prepared for that. Uh,
Hmm.
and I can tell
Harmed
you,
you? Like it
yeah.
was too much? Like it was.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was really, really a lot, and it was what really propelled me to keep focusing on helping people in a really compassionate way. Because sometimes, one of the things that I always like to tell people is, don't diminish your trauma, right?
Mm.
Trauma for everybody hits them in their own way and at their own level. To say that, like, if I was in combat and somebody saw the same thing I saw, it won't happen to us the same way. Some of us can handle it a little differently than others. It'll affect somebody really hard and somebody not as hard. And that's one of
Mhm.
the things that, like, to us, when you bring yourself to us in your traumas, we're going to meet you at where you're at, not where we want to meet you, because it's important for us to know that, this hurt you. It's not about me. It's about how I can help you come out of that. And that's the most important thing we can think about is, being compassionate to people. uh, you know
Yes.
a lot of things go wrong in our community, and
Right.
people demonize us at times. They make us feel like monsters, and even though we've made mistakes, we won't turn our back on you, because that's just not what we do. Like I said, Whitney, myself, the whole team, everybody on our team has really gone through life experiences that have propelled us to be here for everybody that really needs this.
Mhm.
We live it, eat it, breathe it, 100% free. None of us get paid to do this. We do it
Wow.
extremely out of love, because we want people to be here at the end of the day. Like, truly, we want people to be here.
Wow. So you said before I asked Whitney about her background, you said you all do this for free. You all do this for free. Wow,
Completely
it's an
free.
amazing service. And I want to get more into that. How do you do the therapist when that SOS signal goes out within 100 miles? What about those therapists? Do they get paid
All
or
volunteers. Everybody's a
all?
volunteer.
Wow. Give it up for them in the chat. We got some more people coming in from California, Vegas. Doris says, Ram and Whitney, God bless you for your service to our heroes. And Jerry says, awesome. That is awesome. Whitney, tell us about your background.
So my background is not quite as hardcore as Ram's background. I mean, Ram did a bunch of things. And thank you so much for doing what you did, Ram. I'm an Army veteran, so I didn't cross branch. I knew what branch I was going to join first. Marines are amazing. I have to say that, but I have to give you a hard time. So I'm an Army veteran. I have 20 plus years in human resources and in training. So not only do I understand the veteran portion of it, and I understand um, and I mentioned earlier that I grew up in a family of nurses and cops. I have a grandfather who was in the Navy, an uncle who was in the Marines, and another uncle who was in the Air Force. My son's in the Air Force, so it's a whole family thing. Like we serve our country, and we serve people who need us because everybody needs somebody, right?
Yes.
Um, I do understand it from the human side of it and the group and trying to make organizations work better together. I have a master's degree in industrial and organizational psychology, so I know how to make groups work together, which is huge with this organization because we are a bunch of different groups who are coming together to try and surround one person and get them through their crisis and get them to the next day. So
Awesome.
that's my thing. But I did in 2023 I took a class. It's called Assist, and it was a 16-hour suicide intervention program.
Mm,
And it was put on by the Ames, Iowa Police and Fire Departments. And so it was 16 hours. It was free of charge, but it was actually 2 days worth of pay that I ended up, giving up so that I could go to this. And it was so worth it because whenever I went in, we learned how to talk people down from the edge. Like it wasn't just taking the classes and flipping through the pages. We
hmm
At the very end, our capstone project was um, we opened the door to our classroom, and our main proctor was standing on a desk because that was the
Oh,
bridge, and we had to talk her down. And she was not very easy on us.
yeah.
um,
Good,
so
good.
it was a whole team effort. So yeah, by the end of that, I had to take a vacation day. But
Mhm.
from that, I started taking other suicide intervention courses. So through the VA, they have VA Safe.
Okay.
There is mental health first aid training for adults, mental health first aid training for youth, and I did both. I did the youth one because I was on the Southeast Polk School Board, and it's important to have the same training that your teachers have. And then I took QPR training. And QPR is a training that I am bringing to QRF because, I mean, why not add another acronym to it? But
And QPR
especially because they're
is
so similar, right? So QPR is being brought to QRF so that we can teach individuals in an hour to 2 hour time frame how to see those red flags when you're dealing on a person to person basis.
okay.
Because I I don't know very many veterans. I mean, I can tell you I hit the SOS button twice, not because I needed an SOS, but because I was testing it.
Uh-huh.
And there is an immediate response. Like I hit the button
Good.
and I get a, "Hey, are you in crisis? My name," and I'm like, I was just hitting the button. I swear to gosh, this is Whitney. I don't need anything right now, but I'll let you know when I do.
Okay. So it's
But
you tested it to make sure it's
oh
working
yeah,
properly.
absolutely. Because I'm not going to say that something's a good product unless I've tested it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
And,
and
and
immediate response.
and what does QPR stand for? You say you're
So
bringing that.
QPR is question, persuade, refer. So
Mm-hmm.
basically what it does is, if you have, let's say I have a friend who posts on Facebook all the time, and then all of a sudden 2 day period, no post on Facebook, and there's that one little cryptic post, and you're like, what in the heck is this?
Mm-hmm.
It teaches me that's a red flag, do something, you know.
Okay.
And it teaches a person how to have that difficult conversation,
Mm-hmm.
and how to call them up or send them a text or drive over to their house if you live across the street from them and say, hey, I saw your text, what's
Mm-hmm.
going on, you know.
Right.
And it teaches them to not just say what's going on or are you okay. Those are all very safe questions to ask. But if I'm looking at my friend who looks like he's having a rough day, and I say, you know, it looks like you're having a really rough time of it, I haven't seen you online for 2 days, I
Mm-hmm.
saw this cryptic message. Are you thinking about hurting yourself today? Are you thinking
Mm-hmm.
about suicide? You know, do you have any
Wow.
plans right now? Um,
Okay.
and it's staying with them from that question until the resolution. And whether that resolution is um, getting on the phone with them to 988, or getting on the phone with them to the vet center, which does free counseling for veterans, whether it's taking them to Broadlawns, mental health ER down the road, you know,
Okay.
whatever it is, taking them to that point and handing them off, doing a warm handoff.
Yeah.
And I've done that
I love
personally more times than I care to think about. So
I love that. I think
that's what QPR is.
those are great skills. Now, I'll have to talk with you all offline because I want to know who else can get these services. Other institutions, other organizations, businesses. If you can train them, I
So
don't know, but we can
no,
talk about
here's
it.
a great thing about that. Just this class in particular, and I'm sorry to take over, but QPR is free. Again, we like free things, right? And so I started the QPR program with two of my friends in the American Legion. We got together, we came up with QPR, be the one combination, and we tried it out in our department. Each state is a department. So,
Oh,
in the Department of Iowa, we have 8 trainers. We're starting 3 more trainers. Um, and the first year was funded by a grant that we got from the American Legion. The second year
nice.
and beyond will be funded from a grant that we get from Prairie Meadows, which is a casino here in Iowa. So we got a grant to cover all the training costs, all the material costs, all the advertising costs. And so so this year is like the proving year. Like last year was, training wheels. This year we need to get moving and keep going with this. But
You'll get there. You'll get
we
there.
will. We try
Yes.
to focus on veterans first because we um, we're a veteran service organization, and that's my little passion right
Like,
there.
like the
We
Q, like
have
the
gone
QRF,
yes, we have
like
gone
starting
off to
starting there.
We have gone off to other organizations. A lot of our trainers have done the trainings for their workplaces. And
Mhm.
others of us, like, because QRFup is not part of the American Legion or the VFW or Be the One, but I'm doing training of their individuals so that they can move forward with their mission as well.
Mhm. I like the inner
So,
how that intertwines with one another.
absolutely.
And it's all important. And there's such people on the line. If you have a business or anything like that, let me know. And then hopefully Ram can also maybe they're going to talk about Ram. You could just talk about it now because this question came up. Someone asked, how can we spread the word about this amazing service that QRF has right now?
Yeah, it's all about word of mouth. The easiest way is social media. Everybody has social media. Download the app, like like Whitney said, test it out. Don't do it
Yeah.
too much because
Right.
it does ring, and make sure you don't have 911 activated because 911 will come out. But yeah, you're more than welcome to use the application. We have a lot of resources. Like I said, our initial thing that we like to do is get people off the ledge, but then we
Yeah.
go into resources, right? We can help with housing, we can help with employment, we
Wow.
can help with education, we can help with financial resources, nutritional resources, clothing, all sorts of different things. Like there's nothing we can't do that we don't have a partner for. We have 315 partners. I want to say more at this point because we just have meetings every day. But we're always collecting partners. If anybody that is watching wants to be a partner, they're more than welcome to reach out to Whitney or myself. It's just our first name at QRFup.org. And they can get in contact with us. We'll set up meetings with them. Like I said, Whitney has a lot of knowledge. She's been in this industry a long time where she knows how to really connect people with the right education, the right plans, and really cares about our community. I've had a lot of people come through this organization that really cared about the mission, and just
Mhm.
it can be very impactful. So one of the things I like to tell people is be cognizant that this is a mission that hurts the mind and the
Mm.
body. So if this is something you want to do, just know that there is a lot of self-care necessary to be able to continue this mission. Our turnover rate is really high. We've gone through many vice presidents, many board members, many of responders, and so many different things. So it's not
Well,
an
and I
easy.
don't want that to be looked at on a
Yeah, no, it's
negatively at all. A lot of our board members have gone on to other to to branch off into their areas of helping. So we are a great launching pad for that. But I 100% when I was going through my master's program, it was mandatory for every psychology student to have a therapist. And
Mm.
so my shrink is a shrink, because there's absolutely no way that you can sit there.
Everybody.
Right. You can't sit there for 40 hours a week if you're being paid for it, or, 80 hours a week if you're not being paid for it, and not have an outlet. And sometimes we make great outlets for each other, but that's just one more weight on our backs. So if we can go to an outside therapist, and when people think of self care, it's not a bubble bath. Like, I mean, it might be, who knows? But that's
Right.
not the only form of self care. Getting a therapist, eating
Mhm.
well, taking
That.
your meds.
Yeah, I love that. I
Yeah,
love that.
yeah.
That's so good to know. Self care is more than a bubble bath. I like that. And I did put in the chat that if people have questions, if they want to know if they are eligible for the services, if they can go to your website and contact someone and talk to someone
Yes.
about that. And
Yep.
also,
And if they want us
also,
to teach a class, I can do classes remotely with 25 people. So if they're a veteran or veteran adjacent, they will go to the top of the line faster. But if it's anybody who wants to have a class and I have time, I can do it.
all right, I'm going to put that up there too. Okay, I love that. So as we get ready to wrap up, if you if you could talk to some police out there, first responders, anyone who you veterans, what would you say to them about this population, or about the work that they do? What would you say to them if you had something to say to them about the work that they do?
So if I'm talking to an officer or to fire or EMS, and I know the work that you do, it, I know it's gut wrenching sometimes. And my post commander, he is an officer. He's been an officer for, I'm sorry, Joe, I think 15 years, something like that, forever. Um, but what I absolutely love is when he talks about how the police department has their separate veterans group. So there's three veterans currently on the police force in Altoona, Iowa. And when they have a veteran situation happen, those officers are called. There's no other officers called. Those ones are called first. Like, hey, we have a veteran, we're sending on a squad, but can you go out also? So that there's someone in their corner. And
Yeah.
I'm so impressed and blessed that a lot of the departments in Iowa are doing that. I don't know if other states are doing that, but I know that Iowa is, and that's just amazing. So thank you so much for that. And I really, when people thank me for my service, I kind of get taken aback because I don't have an answer. But thank you everybody for your service, and understand that we're here to help you now that you're home, and we're a safe place to land when you need to talk to somebody.
Yes.
I love that. Ram, what about you?
Uh, Man, I'm going to take it a different direction. I want to make sure that um, the people that think they're not worth it, you are.
Um,
The people that really don't have support, don't have family, don't have anybody. I'm your family. Whitney's your family. You have a family here with us. There's nothing you have ever done or could do that won't be forgiven and won't be fixed.
Mm.
We can fix anything together. You are not too dark. You're not a bad person. You are not beyond redemption. Nothing that you do can make me not want to help you or love you, because I have done it myself. And I know that if I can do something better with my life, you're more than capable of doing it too.
Wow.
So
I love that. You all have both spoken volumes, really and truly, and it's needed, because you feel like that. I've done some, terrible things, or, why do I need to live? Why should I live? You know, um, Things like that. So we can go on and on about that. But the thing I really like that you all talked about is having compassion. You know, um,
absolutely.
there's a lot going on in the news today. There's a lot. You got ICE, National Guards, you got police. There is so much overwhelming, today. And to those people on the front line, this there's an outlet for you. To those people running towards the fire, like you stated, Whitney, running towards the scene that other people they don't run to because that's not their job, but this is your job. And like you said, this is a job that should be taken seriously. Self-care is needed more than just a bubble bath. I love those things. So if you had one quote that you were living by today, you yourself living by today, or a saying or anything around that, what is that? And I'll start with you, Whitney.
So I need to ask, do I need to tell people to put on earmuffs before I give you my quote?
Go for it. Go for it.
Okay. So here's my backstory. I was having a complete breakdown on the road, and I called my mentor, and I was like sobbing, like the whole thing. And he's like, Whitney, don't fucking quit. And I'm like, what? And he said it again. And so I made it into my ring here. I actually put it on my ring, and it says "Don't fucking quit," and I wear it all the time. You'll never see me without it. So, and one other one is, and that goes for like our population. And the other one is like, what? Just give me one more. Give me one more day, one more conversation, just one more phone call. If you give me one more, I can get you there.
Wow. Thank you, Whitney. Thank you for your service. Thank you for all you're doing. And I'm sure we'll be having some calls and some follow up, for that training and things. And
Yeah.
Ram, thank you so much for starting this organization, just the vision behind it. I can see so many organizations benefiting from it and really learning how to interact with people, from the in the hospitals, outside the hospitals, so many ways and avenues. But what is one quote or saying that you're living by today?
this is the only quote I ever tell people. If you can't see on the bright side, I'll sit with you in the darkness.
Mm, wow.
Yeah.
If you
Because
can't see the bright side, I'll sit with you in the darkness.
yeah,
Powerful. I love that.
that's the best thing I can do is If you can't get out of your own head, I'll be there with you. It doesn't matter. Like, we'll just sit there. We don't have to say anything. We can just sit there. Again, I have been in a place where I felt incompassionate to myself, or like nobody could ever love me. And that's one of those things that I always tell people. It doesn't matter that everybody around you left. We won't leave you, right? Reach out to us, because again, it doesn't matter who has left you. I promise you, I won't leave you. And there's many vets that'll call you and tell you the same thing, that I have been there for them. I will do that. I can't let another brother or sister die from feeling alone, because it just doesn't solve anything. It just transfers that pain to another person now. And then they just repeats a cycle of like more lives being taken because they feel alone, and they were left in this earth without that person. So suicide is not the answer. It only transfers that pain, and please know we are here for you.
That is powerful. I am writing that in the chat. Suicide is not the answer. Wow. I love that. Thank you both so much for all that you're doing and your mission, and we greatly appreciate it. And we would like to have you back, of course, to talk about some of your success stories, some things that could help the community and things like that. We got to have you back on, and we want to spread the word. We'll go on the website. We can donate. You have housing services. You have horses. We didn't talk about that. Real quick, Ram, tell us about the horses.
So we do have an equine facility that we're putting together. We're trying to do this initiative actually all across the nation. So we're trying to provide equine housing and medical services in every state. So we're in 3 states right now: Iowa, Pennsylvania, and Florida. And we just talked to California today. So hopefully, if everything goes well, we'll have a California facility. So
nice.
We're doing good things, and we're really trying to help in ways that isn't common. So
yes. Well, thank you all so much. Appreciate it. And we're gonna go ahead and end. Whitney, you're okay?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say equine therapy is one of the coolest therapies out there. I mean, they don't just use it for veterans. I mean, they use it for kids who've gone through trauma. They use it for kids who are in foster care. And Ram, I was listening to another podcast this morning with the neurospicy. They use it for neurospicy children, and so that would be children who are on the autism spectrum and the ADHD, that whole group of folks. I happen to be ADHD, so I feel you there. So just getting on a horse and that rhythm and that oneness that you get with a horse and overcoming fear is it's great. So,
okay. Well, thanks for explaining that a little bit better.
Absolutely.
Our minds, we're just like, oh, you're just getting on a horse to release some energy. Not understanding.
Well, I mean, if you know how to ride, go for it. But it's also like learning how to like brush the horse and take care of the horse and the feet and all the things. So,
oh, lovely. Oh,
yeah.
Well, thanks.
Yeah.
Well, good luck. I
You're
hope
welcome.
you get in California. And we do have, what about Chicago? Some of the people here from Chicago. Are you in Chicago, Wisconsin?
Well, what we're trying to do right now is we're trying to make our footprint. So Iowa's our test. It's our pilot, right? We want to do everything in Iowa, make sure we do it right. And then when we roll it out across the country, it's rolled out in an easy manner instead of having hiccups in Chicago and hiccups in California. But hey, you know what? Chicago is not that far away from Iowa. So if someone's having issues and we have a facility here in Iowa, just, come a little bit south. We have snow. You guys have ice. It's fine.
Yeah. Well, thank you all so much. I appreciate you all. And this world, we need it. We need it today more than ever. That
Absolutely.
Someone to talk to, someone to sit with us. And I did put the information in the chat. I'm also going to put the information about the regular suicide lines, NAMI 988, all those things as well, for those who may not be a veteran, first responder, or family member, so that they have the information.
The great thing with 988 is you can text. So you don't have to have a conversation with someone over the phone. For all of us people who love texting, you got that too.
Thank you for that. Thank you so much, Whitney, for that. That is a great resource to have as well to be able to text. So
Yes.
thank you again. And we appreciate you all. Heart Nation, let's give them a great big heart. We love you all. We love the work that you're doing. We can't wait to have you back. And Heart Nation, thank you. Good night. And we will see you again. Take care of each other and take care of yourselves. Good night, Heart
Bye.
Nation.
Bye.